Welcome back to the Max Reality. If you've seen my face before, then you know the drill, but if you're new here, my name's Morgan, and I love talking all things reality TV. And today, we are continuing our journey talking about Season 15 of Shark Tank. Today we're on to Episode 12, and let's get into it. But before we can talk about the latest episode, we have to talk about Season 14's Stealth Bros & Co. Now, if you saw my more recent videos, you already know the drill, but if you're new here, the company was started by Braxton, who's a trans man who was looking for a better way to store his testosterone, so he came up with Stealth Bros & Co. They have everything from DOP kit bags for storage all the way to Sharps containers. Last videos, I was talking about the DOP kit bags, and today I want to talk about the product that literally was, I wish I could go back in time so I had it when I was doing allergy shots because it would have been a lifesaver. And that, my friends, is the Sharps container. Because when I was doing allergy shots, I used one of these, obviously an empty one, not a full one, to store my needles. That meant when I traveled, I had to find a way to bring this in my suitcase. Can you imagine? It was a nightmare. Also, I always was worried it would just crack because, like, you never know, especially with an airline, and oh my gosh. And again, look how big this is. Imagine having to put this in your suitcase with everything else. I despised it. It was terrible. I always hated having to travel with my allergy shots. And Stealth Bros & Co. has you covered because not only do they have nice little Sharps boxes for your home, they have what they call Sharp Shuttles for on the go. And if I had these little Sharp Shuttles to put in my suitcase, that would have just truly and deeply been a miracle. This is the thing I would go back in time for. Everything else is nice, but this, game changing. The Sharp Shuttle boxes are also really nice because, again, like, even just having this around the house was annoying. It doesn't fit nicely anywhere. Even having this for laundry is annoying, honestly. It's not a good bottle. Y'all should do something about this. That's beside the point. Lucky for y'all and lucky for me, they reached out to me asking me if I wanted a code to get y'all 20% off your order. So if you would like to support me in a trans Black-owned business, use my code SBCMAX20 for 20% off your purchase. Thanks again to Stealth Bros & Co. for reaching out, and let's get into the newest episode of Shark Tank. Our sharks of the episode are Damon, Kevin, Lori, Mark, and guest shark Daniel Lubinsky, founder of Kind Bar. Our first pitch of the night is Meet the Mushroom with their product, Shroomacon. Entrepreneurs Marvin and Aaliyah walked into the tank looking for $150,000 for 7.5% of their vegan bacon made from mushrooms. Here it is. It's supposed to be a vegan alternative to bacon made from slicing king oyster mushrooms. Pretty self-explanatory. While they're first explaining the product, we get this great moment that made me laugh way longer than it probably should have.
And we like to say, if it looks like bacon,
smells like bacon,
and tastes like bacon, it must be mushrooms.
Huh?
On top of that, we also get this moment when they're describing how the bacon was made that was just like, honestly, just too much. Too much.
Sharks, let me show you how we slice our mushrooms.
Hit it, samurai guy.
Samurai guy.
Slice, 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 slice.
It comes in a 3-ounce package, and they say it costs them $2.09 to make, but they're confident that they can get it down to $1.75. They sell it to their distributor for $4.40, and then they retail it for $8.99. That's what they said in the tank. That doesn't appear to actually be the case, at least not on their website. So on their website, it's $26 for a pack of 2, making them $13 each. That does not include shipping. I also tried to find it somewhere near me. It wasn't in my state, but I found it in a state over, and at Central Market there, it's $9.99 a pack. So I don't know if it's just gone up since they filmed or what, I never actually know, but that's the information I have for you today. They've been in business since 2021, and we get one of our famous little sales ramps. From May to December of 2021, they did $38,000 in sales. In 2022, they did $86,000, and year to date in 2023, they had done $238,000. So lifetime, they done a little over $360,000. 93% of their sales are direct to customer, and they've just started getting into grocery stores. They were in quite a few when I was looking around, more than I thought, especially because of this. But again, they filmed like a year ago, so we did not find out if they were profitable. I feel like Out of all the things they may forget to tell us, that's the one that always kills me because I always want to know. Surprisingly, Kevin's really into the product.
In Shark Tank, we've had so many plant-based products.
Sure.
They all taste like crap.
No, they do not.
This
No, they don't.
actually
No, they
tastes
do not.
good.
I love how defensive Mark gets because he's invested in some of these like vegan and healthy snacks. He's like, nuh-uh, they taste good. I like them. So while Kevin does like the product, he thinks the valuation is ridiculous. So he offers them $150,000 for 33.33%. So to put that in perspective, their original ask of $150,000 for 7.5 puts their valuation at $2 million versus Kevin's cuts it to about $450,000, which is more than their lifetime sales. Just to point that out.
I have zero flexibility. That's a fantastic
How much flexibility
offer.
do you have on this?
Oh, I have zero flexibility.
Back to the point of Mark investing in other Shark Tank vegan products. Back in season 11, Mark invested in Unreal Deli, and apparently they want to be moving into the vegan bacon space soon. So because of that, Mark has to go out. Then there's Damon, whose reasoning was just so weird. He was like, there's 4 main issues with the business: the making it, getting distribution, getting in stores, and getting customers. And it's like, isn't that the big issue with all business? It made no sense to me. But for those reasons, Damon's out. Then Kevin says that he feels like he's not getting the love. He feels like he's being ignored. And because of that, he decides to raise the equity from 33.33 to 33.2. Then there's Lori, who has a very Lori moment, in my opinion, who talks about one of her big issues with it is bacon is usually longer, and then these are shorter, and it just gives us this great moment.
Your only thing, Lori, is that it should be a longer mushroom?
It's not always about the size, man.
That's right. It's not always about the size.
But after that, the entrepreneurs are then forced to have to explain to Lori that the size of the bacon is going to be dependent on the mushrooms, because as I've already said, it's literally just sliced mushrooms. They're not putting it in a mold, anything like that. So the size just kind of is what it is. I know I've said it before and I'll say it a million times, but sometimes Lori asks questions that just make me want to hit my head against the wall. Her being like, but it's so small. It's like, yeah, but like, I don't know. Like, and she's not wrong. I do, if I'm looking for a vegan bacon, which, we'll get into in final thoughts, but I do want something a similar shape to bacon. But with the product the way it is, it's just like, they've already kind of explained why it looks the way it does. Whatever, we need to move on. Meanwhile, there's Kevin, who is getting more annoyed and ups the ante yet again.
I feel so unloved.
Let me see.
And now,
Let me show you.
unfortunately, I'm 33 3/3, better known as 34%.
Wait, we do
Mr.
love you,
Mr.
Mr.
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
Growing
I
like a
have to say-
mushroom.
Then we have Daniel, who says that after being on the show for 5 seasons, he's never seen Kevin give a fair offer until right now. And he thinks they should just take his offer. He doesn't feel like he can give a better offer than Kevin, so he's out. After much debate with herself, Lori decides to make them an offer of $150,000 for 33.33%, aka stealing Kevin's original offer and undercutting his current offer. I mean, undercutting it by 1%, but still undercutting it. The entrepreneurs try to see if they'd be willing to lower the equity at all. They say 33% is just a lot more than they were thinking they would be willing to give away. And Kevin goes into this whole spiel about how they're right back to where they started with Shark Tank. It's 2008 again. There's no money anywhere. And like, they should just be happy that they're getting any money offered to them. But Lori hears them out and says that she has an idea that might sweeten the deal a little bit. She offers that her and Kevin could go in together for $150,000 for 33.33%. The entrepreneurs tried countering to lower the equity to 25%, but the sharks just aren't having it. The entrepreneurs keep saying that 33.33% is just too high for them, especially because they'll have to raise more money and all of that, but Kevin is not budging.
It's not enough equity. We got to get up in the morning and we got to smell the bacon, okay?
They try one last ditch effort of trying to raise the capital instead of the equity, so they offer $200,000 for the 33.33%, but the sharks say they will only do it at $150,000 for 33.33%, and they end up making the deal with Kevin and Lori. Into final thoughts, The first thing is, the minute they came out, I was like, we just had a vegan bacon on not that long ago, and I was correct. It was in season 13. It was called Umari, I'm pretty sure. And while I was looking through the Shark Tank episode discussion Reddit, somebody reminded me of this great clip of Robert from that episode that I'm going to play for y'all.
Those of you who like it soft and chewy, our bacon is pre-cooked. On your left, you have the bacon.
Okay, it's called Umaro. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it, but still, that clip was so funny. It made me wish Robert was on here so we could see if he liked this vegan bacon better, but it's just so funny. My other big thing about it is it's just way too expensive, because if you're lucky enough to get it in a grocery store, $9.99 is already too expensive, but I feel like a lot of people, like they said, are direct to consumer, so you're looking at $13 for 3 ounces. I just can't do that. I looked around. I couldn't find the price for the vegan bacon that I usually buy, and I'll buy it very often. There's just a couple things I use it for a couple times a year. But from what I was seeing at my grocery store and on the internet, a lot of the popular brands of vegan bacon are 5 ounces or even 5.5 ounces, and they're anywhere between like $4 and $6, which feels a lot more reasonable, especially when you're trying to compare it to just normal bacon prices. And I get that it's a more premium product because of the ingredients. King oyster mushrooms are a really expensive ingredient, but I don't know, those little tiny slices and it not being a very big package, I can't justify that. Like, good for them, but that's my takes on it. Our second pitch of the night is BarBees Bartending. Jess and Willow walked into the tank looking for $75,000 for 10% of their mobile cocktail classes. Here's kind of a video to show you what your class would look like. Pretty much you hire them to come out and teach you how to make a couple cocktails. You do have to provide the location and the liquor, but they bring all the bar tools and any non-alcoholic things you need. Because this is an alcohol-based business, we all know that our sharks have to do their little cheers. So they didn't tell us a whole lot about like the pricing or how any of that worked. So I had to just go on their website and do a little digging. Pretty much it looks like you either get an hour-long class or a 90-minute class, depending on if you're learning 2 cocktails or 3 cocktails. They also have a minimum of $60 per person for 2 cocktails or $80 per person for 3 cocktails. It says that there might be some minimums for some cities, so it's not very clear on that. That's about what I could get as far as how pricing works. So, sorry if that's not very informative. I also feel a little cheated on understanding that part. For example, I kind of wish they would have told us our average class is about this size and this is about how much people generally spend. That's just me. I'm just watching Shark Tank and want information on how the business works. I know, I'm crazy. Also, something that'll be a theme this episode, they don't talk about profitability yet again. What show are we watching? I need the details. So like I said earlier, how it works is you go on their website and they have a little form, you fill it out, you pick the different cocktails you want to do. They have a list of a couple, I didn't count them, maybe like 10 or 12. You pick between those, then they send you the ingredients list that you'll need to buy and provide for the party, and then they show up to your location, teach you how to make the drinks, bada boom, bada bing, fun time for everybody. It started with just the 2 of them in Nashville, but now they've grown of a team to 25, and when they were in the tank, they said they were in 7 cities, but it looks like according to their website, they're now in 10 cities. They started it in 2019 as an event-based business, but we all know what happened in 2020, so they had to convert to virtual classes, and now they offer both kinds of classes. They said 52% of their business is bachelorette parties, 26% is corporate, and that leaves me to assume that the other 22% is other kind of events like, I don't know, a birthday party, all that sort of stuff, and then also their virtual events. They didn't say that. I'm just inferring that because 22% is missing. So, as I said, they started in 2019 and they did $19,000 in sales. 2020, $38,000. 2021, $76,000. 2022, just under $190,000. And in 2023, they were expected to do $400,000. Lori is our first shark to jump in with a question, and she asks the classic, why do you need a shark? They say the biggest thing they're needing a shark for is expansion because they know with their type of business, the best way to make it grow is to try to get out there into the markets they want to be in before anybody else does. And for the first time in I don't even know how long, they actually give us specifics of what they want to do with the money, which I was just such a big fan of. First, they want to spend $20,000 on getting an automated booking system. Next, they want to spend another $20,000 on enhanced onboarding for growing their team. And with the remainder of the money, they want to work on expanding what cities they're in. Mark says one of the hard things about their business is that they'll grow and make money when they're trying to get into these different markets they want to be in. But once they're in all those markets, the issue will be growing from there, and it can kind of put a limit or a cap on their business, which will make it harder to scale. And for those reasons, Mark goes out. Damon says he loves what they're doing, but he just doesn't want to be in the service industry, and for those reasons, he's out. Kevin says what we all know, that he's the wine guy of the Sharks, and he feels like with this being cocktail-based and not like a wine sip and pair, it'd kind of be going against his brand, so for that, he's out. But our guest shark Daniel is interested. He says he's going to be able to help them with the software things they're wanting to do, and also he just thinks it'd be fun to work with them. So he offers them the $75,000 for 20%. Lori says that Daniel's given a better offer than she was going to give, so she goes out. Now that they're down to only Daniel, they try countering him 15%, and Daniel not only says no, he kind of pulls a little bit of a Kevin.
No, but if we take longer, it might go to 25%.
They try to counter him again, this time raising the money to $115,000 for the 20% that he would like to do.
Oh my God.
That is your upgrade.
You're about to lose this thing.
Then Daniel tells us that his kids have been wanting a pet, and that if they make a deal with him, he'll advocate for the kids to name their pet Barbie. That is this man's pitch to them. So funny, that's so weird. But the pet thing, and maybe the fact that Daniel's the only shark that made them an offer, persuades them, and they end up making a deal with Daniel for $75,000 for 20%. Final thoughts. I feel like my final thoughts are kind of basic, but we'll go through them anyway. First, I feel like there's kind of the obvious thing that it's just kind of a service-based industry. There's nothing special about it, per se, or patentable about it. It's more of a race of getting out there, getting known, getting people to love you, and then you blow up, hopefully, which is always a scary thing to invest in. And I kind of was really wishing that Barbara would have been on this episode, because I feel like Barbara does really well with entrepreneurs that are wanting to like franchise, not this is necessarily a franchise, but growing into different cities and spaces. I really wish she would have been here and made a deal with them, because I feel like they would have benefited from Barbara, but hopefully Daniel's able to help them. I don't really know what kind of experience he has with this sort of stuff, but you know, you never know. The guest sharks always surprise us with the things they do and know, so. And I feel like some people will probably comment on the fact that you have to get your own liquor, which, yeah, it does suck, but I understand why they're not doing that. I mean, it's just other licenses you have to get, other things you have to deal with and worry about. And so I do understand why some people, like myself, would kind of think that's annoying. I do 100% get why they're doing it and think it makes more sense for the business model to do it that way. Other businesses that I saw that were similar to this did the exact same thing. It makes sense to me. One thing I didn't talk about much is their virtual classes. Their virtual classes are around $200 to $300 a class for 45 minutes of instruction. And that seems wild to me. I honestly didn't even take the time to look up what other virtual cocktail classes would be, but that seems like a lot, right? Right? Like, especially since it's not coming with a kit or anything, it doesn't seem. It's literally you're just paying for the instruction. I'm not saying people's time isn't worth a lot, but, and it is a live thing. If it was pre-recorded and it was that would be worse. But still, I don't know. I would love to hear other people's opinion on that fact. Our third pitch of the night is Jay's Pet Butter. Brandon and Jay walked into the tank looking for $50,000 for 10% of their nutritious, pet-safe peanut butter. Before we can literally talk about anything else, we have to talk about the fact that Jay is an Olympian bodybuilder. Look at that man. Now we can move on. Here it is, and it's a peanut butter made especially for dogs. It has special supplements to help them out, and nothing that normal peanut butter has in it that's bad for dogs. And if I had to see this clip, so do y'all. Yep. After they describe the product and after they give the dog the little spoonful, there's this clip of the dog lapping with its tongue. I have to show y'all, it's so funny and cute.
Put the tongue on that little guy.
That's twice the size of his body.
Jay, I don't think.
Like, why is its little tongue that long? It's so funny. Anyway. So pretty much, I'm sure you're thinking, what do you mean pet safe peanut butter? If you don't know, a lot of peanut butters have this thing called xylitol, I think that's how you say it, in them, and a lot of sugar and other things that aren't necessarily great for your dog. And so people have made pet safe peanut butter. Spoiler alert, this isn't the only one, but we'll get to that later. The product comes in a 16-ounce jar. It costs them $3.10 to make, and they retail it for $14.99. They've been in business since 2022, and in the 10 months that they've been operating, they've done $39,000 in sales. And once again, we do not talk about profitability. Whatever. Lori starts us off by having a great Arrested Development type moment where she asks, how much does a jar of peanut butter cost?
I mean, it's one banana, Michael. What could it cost? $10?
You've never actually set foot in a supermarket, have you?
I don't have time for this.
So we find out that Jay, being the Olympic bodybuilder he is, already has a supplement brand. On top of that, he has like 16 million followers. And so the sharks are a little confused how all of that isn't translating into selling more. And they say one of their biggest issues is with manufacturing. He says he's gotten kind of the supplement space figured out, but with how the peanut butter is manufactured, it's just kind of a different ball game completely. Mark chimes in first, and he says the big problem with their business is it's something that will take pet owners a while to see the benefits of, and for that reason, it's kind of a slow burn product versus something that's investable. So Mark goes out. Then Lori chimes in and lets us know that she doesn't eat peanuts. They apparently do not agree with her, and she always talks about that she wants to be passionate and use the products that she promotes, and since she can't really use this, she goes out. Now, I think that's fine and fair and valid. It's something that Lori likes to say a lot when she goes out. I just think it's funny because it's not something Lori's supposed to be eating. I don't know if Lori has any pets, but I just think it's so funny for her to be like, I can't invest in this dog peanut butter, for I am not a dog who eats peanut butter. That's kind of how it feels, even though that's not what she's saying. That's just kind of like... Anyway, then we have Daniel, who has said multiple times already that he's very intimidated by them and has made jokes about that if the sharks don't give them what they want, that they're gonna hurt them. But Daniel decides to be brave anyway and says this is just not really a business that he knows anything about, and for that reason, he's out. Then there's Damon, who also says there's just not really anything he could add to this business. He would just be investing in it to try to get training from both Jay and Brandon, and for that reason, he's out. And like many times before, all roads lead back to Mr. Wonderful. Kevin sees it as hard to invest in because he doesn't really see it as a business per se. He sees it more as a product that's under their sphere of influence, but he really likes their whole direct-to-consumer thing because he feels like their customer acquisition cost has to be pretty low considering the number of followers and just their in general influence. So he decides to do a just straight royalty, no equity deal of $50,000 and a $1 royalty per jar in perpetuity.
What do you say, guys?
Jay.
But they're just not interested, and the other sharks' reaction to this killed me. I can't with them.
Probably not something we'd like to do. We appreciate the offer.
After that, the other sharks try to see if the entrepreneurs want to consider countering it all. For example, Daniel brings up the idea of saying that the royalty would only last until Kevin makes twice his money back.
Why would I do that?
Because you get 2 times your money back and you get to be friends with Jay.
But ultimately, they decide it's just not the right deal for them to make, and they leave the tank without a deal. Final thoughts. The first thing I have to say is I have to be completely fair to them. When I first heard this price, I was like, that's really expensive. And you need to hear me out for this. Hear me out. So I buy the Kong brand squeeze peanut butter for my dog. So I was like, oh, well, that costs less than this. I'm positive. I'm sure. And then I went and looked. And the jar can thing is only 8 ounces, and it's $8.99. So at the end of the day, for 16 ounces, I'm almost looking at $18, which costs more than their jar, to just be completely honest and fair. Now, do I think the Kong brand peanut butter should also be less? Yes. And when I was looking up similar healthy or dog peanut butter, they were all in the same price range of like 12 to, I think the most expensive one I saw was about $16 for a 16-ounce jar. So they are competitive in the market space. So while I just personally think it is expensive, they're not far off from any of their competitors. So there is that. Overall, would I buy this for my dog? I mean, probably not. The reason I even buy the Kong brand peanut butter is to put it in his toy. And that's why I like the little squeeze thing. It's not even about the healthiness of peanut butter. I don't even really want to get into a debate about that. If you want to get in this comments and talk about what's good for dogs, what's bad for dogs, I don't even care about that part. I'm just talking about product functionality. I like the squeeze thing for what I use it for. If I needed jarred peanut butter, I might actually honestly consider this since it technically is cheaper than the Kong squeeze. That's where I am with this. That's where I'm leaving it. Case closed. Our fourth and final pitch of the night is Mama Sing My Song. Entrepreneurs Valerie, Amanda, and Danny walked into the tank looking for $125,000 for 10% of their custom songs for kids that are inside little stuffed animals. Here's what some of their little stuffed animals look like. Obviously, there's not a lot to visualize with this product per se, but I wanted to give you a little glimpse. What we really need to talk about is the fact that somehow these people got Damon's wife and child on the show, and it is never explained. They don't say that like they reached out to her or that she wanted a stuffed animal. I assume they reached out for her. That makes the most sense. But I just want an explanation because it just felt like these people kidnapped them almost because they just don't say anything about it. They're like, we have your wife and child. Okay, anyway, here's our pitch. Like, what happened? Tell me. So for the cost breakdown, you can either do an a cappella song or you can do a full studio recorded song. The acapella is $99, the studio recorded is $250, and then if you want the plush with the song in it, that's an additional $55. So obviously I was on their website, like I always do, to check the prices, and it looks like they're also promoting these little bundles where you get, the song, the stuffed animal, there's little art, all that. Anyway, I'm looking at it, I'm reading it, and the sample song for all these is Damon's daughter's song, and that's wild to me. Is she getting bang from this? I don't like it. I get that they had to use somebody's song, I guess, but I feel like this is the Shark Tank bundle. I guess let me see if it's actually on every bundle. I am on the Shark Tank bundle, so maybe they only used it for that one. No, even on the acapella one, it's her song, but it's just the acapella version. That's weird to me. I don't like that. Okay, anyway. At the moment, all the songs are actually made by real people, and the artists get 40 to 50% of the order. In 5 years, this company has done $1.4 million in sales. 90% of it has come from the last 2.5 years. We get a mini sales ramp. 2022, they did $420,000, and in 2023, they were expected to do around $450,000 to $500,000. This time we do get a question and answer on profitability. Thank God, at least 1 out of the 4 does. Their net lifetime profitability is around 25%, and in 2023, it was around 32%. So I think it's unfortunate but obvious what a lot of the sharks immediately jumped to, which was, why are they paying people to come up with these songs? Why not just use AI? And they say that the human element is very important to them. What I say is, have the sharks heard some of the AI songs that are out there, because horrifying. There are multiple people's YouTube videos I've watched talking about different AI music content creators. I'll probably link 1 or 2, who knows. Terrifying, awful, not good, very unsettling to listen to. Don't recommend. Recommend watching the video, but the songs they show were upsetting, to say the least. I mean, I know AI will get there, but especially some of the kids' songs. That's the video I should try to find. Oh, I gotta move on. I'm ranting. I gotta focus. Mark jumps in first, stealing Lori's famous line of, "It's a great business for you, but not investable for me," and he's out. Kevin says he loves the whole kumbaya aspect, but he doesn't see this as a business that will give him a huge return on his investment, and for that reason, he's out too. Then we have Daniel, who says that they're very kind and nurturing people and they don't want to lose the soul of the business, but they need help with actually running a business effectively and efficiently. And he thinks that the 3 sharks that are left up there who actually have a soul would be great to help them out. This then leads to a great moment between Lori and Kevin.
To me, you know, it's not just about money in the Shark
What?
Tank. It's, well, for you, it's another story.
Lori continues saying the other reason she's there is to help other people and that children are our most precious treasure and it's so important that they grow up healthy and feeling loved and safe. So at this point, it's just up to Damon if he wants to jump in too. And he says he's been dying to work with Daniel and calls him the kindest person on earth. Get it? Because he owns Kind Bar. And Damon's in, but now they have to get down to business to decide their offer. And before they make them an offer, they want to know how the business is already broken up. And we find out that all 3 of them are just equal partners. After that, Lori throws out the idea of the 3 sharks being a third, so essentially offering them $125,000 for 33 1/3%. The entrepreneurs try countering $125,000 for 25%, to which Daniel suggests upping the money a little to $150,000 for 33 1/3%, and they end up making the deal with Daniel, Damon, and Lori. First final thought. I just want to know how they got Damon's wife there. But I will say, it is not the first time that Damon's wife and child have been on the set of Shark Tank. Apparently, Damon proposed to her on the set. It wasn't aired, it wasn't part of the episode. But yeah, he proposed to her on the set of Shark Tank. How funny is that? I died. I think the other thing about it is there are a lot of places where you can get a custom song. There's one that's getting advertised a bunch on YouTube right now called like Songfinch. I couldn't figure out how much their prices were though. So, I mean, I don't know how comparable that is. But there's also places like Fiverr and just different places you can get custom songs. So kind of like the bartending thing. It's not really patentable or anything like that. But, you know, I get it. It's sentimental. A bunch of people said this in like the Reddit and I agree with them. It feels more like a present for the parents than it is the child. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't have kids. And I don't know if those people on Reddit do. But it does, especially watching Damon's kid while the song was playing. Both the parents were getting very emotional and she's just kind of like, yeah. I think a lot of it would depend on the age you get the kid the present. Because I feel like if you get it for them really young and then they grow up with it, it's more sentimental, but the older they are, it just feels more like a random song. When it first showed up, before they told us what the business was, anything like that, we had the show paused, and I made a guess that you sent them your song, because I feel like a lot of parents do have little songs they sing for their kids. I mean, I don't have any kids, but I have a dog, and he has, like, multiple albums at this point worth of songs we sing to him. And I feel like that'd be a little more sentimental for a kid, getting to hear their parents' voice, all of that. But the flip side to that is that's just something you could do at Build-A-Bear. So I'd love to hear from actual parents about their feelings on the price, on the product at all. I did see people commenting saying that they had bought it and they loved it, that it was very special for them and their family. So again, I don't know. I don't know anything. This is all just my opinion. That's all these videos ever are. So, and that, my friends, is a wrap for season 15, episode 12 of Shark Tank. If you made it this far in the video, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you love talking all things reality TV, especially Shark Tank. Let me know your feelings about the products in the comments. Have you tried any of them? Do you want to try any of them? Let me know all that and more down below. And until then, I'll see y'all in the next one.